Now, last week I told you, the other way I told you, this is one of the questions that was asked. Turn to, where's this? Genesis chapter 6. The person had this question in Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. Where? Okay, let's read together verse 4 and 5. Shall we read verses 4 and 5? Genesis 6, 4 and 5 reading. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Alright, so the person read this verse and asked, now there were giants in the earth in those days. So the person's question is, who are these giants? Okay, who are these giants? And who are these sons of God? Who are these offsprings of the sons of God and the daughters of men who were giants? Does this mean these were sons of God were not ordinary men, or not even of mankind? No, what does it mean, not even of mankind?
They're not people.
Means they're like creatures, giant creatures. Giant creatures. So the person say, well, what does this verse, what is this verse saying? What kind of people were these people? So let's look at this verse. Now, first of all, so the person asks, are these giants in those days creatures? And they were born, right? They were born by men and women. The Bible tells us. Then who are these sons of God? Okay, maybe I draw. There were this group of people. They were called sons of God. Okay, sons of God. That married daughters. That married daughters of men. Okay, that married daughters of men. Okay. And they produce what? They produce giants. They produce giants. And the person wonder, these giants, they were men of renown, and also, who are they? It sounds quite scary. Are they very strange looking? Right? Many horns, very wicked, with long, sharp fingernails. Right? What are they? Don't know. So, who are these people? They were mighty men, and they were famous. So, who do you think they are? Maggie? Don't know. All right? It's quite difficult. So, anyone want to try before I give the answer? No? Shama? No idea, right? Phoebe, you wanted to try? Oh, you raise your hands. Oh, you're combing your hair. Okay. So, now in the Bible, when the Bible uses the word sons of God, the sons of God came to the daughters of men. Now, sons of God in the Bible sometimes refers to angels. Okay, to angels. Anyone know where, for example, in the Bible that says sons of God are angels? Sons of God are angels. Let's turn to Job, the book of Job. Chapter 2. Job chapter 2, verse 1, for example. Shall we read Job chapter 2, verse 1 reading? And there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, And Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. Now, here the Bible reveals something that happens in heaven. Something that happens in the heaven. The sons of God, the angels, will come before God. And Satan, he's a fallen sons of God, right? The fallen angels, were also required to come before God. Okay? So this verse here, for example, tells us that it refers to angels, including satanic angels, as sons of God. Okay? Sons of God. So, now, what do you think? Brenda. So when he said the sons of God, can they be angels? We know in the Bible they can. And they came and married daughters. Now they married daughters. Now before I go further, maybe the best way to explain this is these giants, all right? These giants, they may be really physically giant. They are not this monster-looking thing. They could be physically very big giants. Now I was at the airport recently, and I saw this man. And he kept bending down. All right? He won't stand up. But from far I noticed this man looks funny, looks strange. But I can't tell why he looks strange. I just know he is not normal looking among the crowd of people waiting to board the aeroplane. And I was thinking, he looks different, but I can't tell why. Now he kept bending down I think he was pretending to pack his things all the time. And then later I realized why he didn't want to stand up. Because when he stood up, he was about twice the height of normal human being. He was maybe hit the ceiling. He was really huge. All right? So I said, wow, giant. All right? So are there people who are very big? In the Bible, we read of certain people that were huge, right? Goliath and all that gave us the measurements. They're very huge, very big. So it could be really physically giant, big people. But let's see what God described them to be also. Now, so these were product of these sons of God and women, and they became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. Brenda, what do you think these men of renown are? The hint is I made you read 2 verses just now. They were like Bill Gates, very famous. Not sure. What do you think? Are these good or not so good men? You can be famous, right? You can be famous for, men of renown means famous. You can be famous for wickedness, or you can be famous for goodness, right? So what do you think? Good or evil? Faith. Do you think these men of renown means they were famous? All right? They were famous. Do you think famous in a good way or a bad way?
It's a bit hard because
A bit hard to tell. Not so hard if you look at 2 verses that I ask you to read. All right, Grace. Anyone? Phoebe? No. Cornelius knows the answer. You think they're famous men famous for good things or men famous for wicked things? Why? Okay, Cornelius asked us to look at chapter 6, Genesis 6, verse 5, is it? Okay, Genesis 6, 5, which is immediately after verse 4. So let's read together. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And this "and" links us to the previous verse also, right? So these men of renown, they were men that were well known for wickedness. And this wickedness were terrible, great wickedness. And the imaginations of the hearts of these men were always evil. So they're always plotting and planning to do wicked things. Okay, so they're men of renown means they're very, very famous wicked men. Can you think of today people who are like that? Very famous, but very famous for evil things. Anyone? Okay, let me try. The younger ones. Well, you study history, right? Jennifer? In history, have you studied any very famous people that in history have done very terrible, wicked things? King Ahab. Okay, that's in the Bible. King Ahab. What about in the secular world? Shalomia. Say again. Hitler. Hitler, for example. Hitler. He wanted to commit genocide, right? Kill the Jewish race, right? Then there are many other famous men that did many wicked things. Okay. Now, so these were men of renown. Means they were men that were offsprings of this that became Hitler and worse and so on. Okay. So now, so the person asks, then therefore, who are these sons of God? Who are the sons of God that produce this kind of people? Now, the belief is that these were, before that I ask you, does the Bible say that angels cannot marry? Does the Bible say that? Angels cannot marry? Turn to Matthew 22, verse 30. Matthew 22, verse 30. Okay, let's read together. Matthew 22, verse 30. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but as the angels of God in heaven. So angels of God do not get married, right? Okay, so Clara, so how if the description seems like the product of this produce very, very wicked race. Very terrible. So terrible that God had to destroy the earth. Right? But angels do not get married. But this would not be ordinary marriages. This would be Satan trying to create a race that is so terrible on earth. To cause men to sin against God. So angels don't get married. Then how? Noah, why you keep slapping yourself? If angels don't get married, so could they be angels, sons of God? Sons of God. Not sure. Samuel? Not sure. Now in the gospel, sometimes there are wicked, terrible angels. How do they live on earth? Do you remember? Elim. Don't remember, when you read the gospel, Esther, they possess. Do you read in the Bible where some of these wicked angels, I don't know how to draw wicked angels, I don't know how they look like, but they're wicked angels, right? Wicked angels, they possess people. They live inside people, remember? And then Christ cast out these legions even of wicked angels out of persons, right? So now we believe that the sons of God, of course, yes, they cannot marry. They are spirits. So they, in their plan to turn mankind against God, to commit wicked crimes, as wicked as possible, we believe that these sons of God, the wicked angels, possess these men. These men, then when they possess them, they can marry. They have a physical body, someone's body. They marry women, and their intention was to continue to possess men and to create as wicked a race as possible. Okay? Why? Because he's Satan. He hates God. He hates God's creation. All right? So the person who asked this question, I hope you get your answer. I believe it's likely that. There are some who believe this as well. That they were not, so are these sons of God ordinary men? They were human beings possessed by evil angels. Are the offspring sons of God and daughters were giants? Well, they could be really physically big, but they're definitely very famous wicked men. Okay, so if you think Hitler was wicked, probably before the flood, they were probably many who are far worse than Hitler. Okay? So I hope I answered that question. What do we have here? Top 5 reasons why church dropouts, what church dropouts say, why they stop attending church. Now please remember 66% of, well, I take the American view, they're the most readily available results. They stop attending church at least a year after turning 18. So from